Welcome in. Thank y'all so much for being here tonight. This is going to be a fantastic show, as I always say, because all these shows are totally fantastic, top notch. We're having so much fun here at the Cryptid Huntress on YouTube. If you guys haven't hit subscribe yet, please do like these videos and share them out to everybody. Oh, and if you're on Facebook, you guys follow me there on Facebook, Jessica, the Cryptid Huntress. I stream all my shows live there as well. So I know some of y'all are watching me on Facebook right now. So thank you guys so much. I took suggestions yesterday for topics for the RV show tonight, and I got some of the best suggestions. Thank y'all so much for really all participating in this with me, because it means the world to me. And I was blown away by some of your suggestions. Now, I did have a couple of people suggest this topic that we're going to be doing tonight. It's the Beast of Gevaudan, okay, out of Italy, okay, but in the 1700s, and or not Italy, France. It's France. France. I'm sorry, I was going to say France, and I changed it to Italy all of a sudden. Y'all can tell I didn't know what this thing was at all. I never even heard of it before. I had to listen, when I remote viewed this thing, I had no idea what it was. It said beast, so I was like, I bet it's probably like a werewolf or something. But okay, so I did it, and I got to tell you, I have a surprise guest here with me tonight. I didn't announce who my guest was yet. I think on social media I might have. But I have Donnie Cho here with me tonight, and we are going to discuss this. He was actually on Jason McLean Questions Everything on Texas Front Porch. They did their show on this same exact topic last night, and I was completely unaware of that until today. And so we're just going to do a continuation of what they did last night on their show, because I've actually remote viewed the beast, okay? And so this is going to be really fantastic. Donnie is full of knowledge on this. He's done his research on it, and it's super impressive. So I want to thank Paul, okay? And Paul, I hope I get your last name right. Paul Kokorotsis, okay, is who I'm giving credit to for having me remote view this Beast of Gevaudan, okay? So thank you so much. Thank you to everybody else who gave me suggestions. You guys rock. Okay, if anyone would like to follow me or follow us along tonight on my remote viewing data, you can go join my Patreon. That's the Cryptid Huntress over on Patreon. I have all of my raw remote viewing data there for tonight's show, and from my old shows too. Okay, and you can find all of my shows at thecryptidhuntress.com. That includes my spaced out radio shows every weekend, and my weekly shows here on YouTube, okay? If you'd like to support what I do, you can go to War Woman Goods. That's my shop. It's on Etsy, and if you buy jewelry there, I think I might put it on sale this weekend. So y'all go buy some jewelry, and it helps support what I do with all of my shows. Also, come see me at the Georgia Bigfoot Conference. That is next Saturday, not this weekend, but the next, on April the 1st, at the Dillard House in Dillard, Georgia, up near Clayton in Northeast Georgia. It's going to be amazing, and I have so many friends that are going to be meeting me up there, and people, there's going to be some surprise guests. Okay. People that you guys probably know from podcasts, perhaps, and stuff. So we've got a great crowd coming to that. And then we've got the Space Out Radio Fan Party, May 19th, 21st in Las Vegas at the Golden Nugget. Y'all come see me. And then I'll be at the Journey to Truth Conference presenting there on May 22nd through the 25th. Okay, so enough about me. Let's get to our show tonight. We have so much to talk about, and Yeah, thank you to everybody that's in chat. You guys are the best. Okay, so I have Donnie Cho here. He is a special co-host over at Jason McLean Questions Everything and on Rob's shows, just all the Texas Front Porch shows over there. And so tonight he is going to be helping me discuss the Beast of Gevaudan. Okay, so I'm going to bring up Donnie tonight. This is the first time he's been a guest on my show.
Hi, hello everyone at home. I just
Hey, hey, Donnie.
thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. I'm so excited that you're here. I always have fun talking with you, and it's only been in group settings so far.
Yeah,
Yeah, we had a good time over at I guess it was Jason McLean Questions Everything,
yep.
and
Jason McLean questions everything on Texas
yeah,
Front Porch and Bigfoot Michigan Rob's channel. I believe last week was the first show you and I ever did together, and it was probably one of the most fun
it
podcasting
was
experience I've ever had.
it was fun. We did that with Unicorn Michigan Rob, who's in the
Yeah,
chat tonight.
we were
Yes, that was
talking
awesome.
unicorns. We're talking
We
about Don
were.
Johnson.
We were.
We're
It was
talking
it
about
was a lot of fun.
giants. It was a lot of fun.
Yes. It was the Giant of Kandahar. Actually,
Yep.
it was the original topic. But much like all of the shows that I do, we get off topic sometimes. It's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. It was a lot of fun. So yeah. Okay. Well, we have a lot of people that watch your shows with them in the chat today, and I'm sure a lot of the people that are in chat here were there last night
Yeah.
watching the show, which I was super impressed when I watched it today. I was like, oh my gosh, Donnie knows his stuff.
It was a
So
topic I've been fascinated with even before I got involved in the paranormal community. Because when I first even learned that the paranormal was real, I wanted answers. So I started, hey, Rob, Unicorn, Michigan, Rob strikes again.
yes, I'm trying to
Um,
keep up. I got to go down the comments here. I saw he just put a super chat. There we go. Thank you. It's Unicorn. Unicorn Rob with his
yeah.
bandana. Yes, I love that. Thank you,
Uh,
Rob.
Real quick, when I was first got into the paranormal, I got in mainly because of ghosts. You know how everyone gets into paranormal for the they got their initial thing that they're into, like ghosts,
Hmm.
UFOs, or cryptids. So I got in
Yes.
because I was interested in ghosts. But then I started seeing all this cryptid Bigfoot stuff. And at first, I was a bit apprehensive. I was like, "Oh, I gotta be one of those Bigfoot people." But then I started learning about
Oh,
Bigfoot,
you're
and
not one
then
of us stinky people. Right.
and yeah.
Just
I mean,
kidding.
anyway,
Well, it's all
we
connected, Donnie. I think it's all connected in some
the,
weird way.
the story that really changed my mind about cryptids though was when I did find the Beast of Gevaudan.
Uh
That
huh.
was like, this is undeniable. This is undeniable. This thing killed so many people. Nobody denied its existence. Nobody tried to refute it or debunk it. Everyone just understood that it was a real thing and it was doing what it was doing.
That's right. Yeah. It
So,
it was just
yeah,
doing what it was doing, huh?
it was doing what it was doing.
Just ripping heads off and pulling
Ripping heads
throats
off.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Well, it's very interesting. I've made some connections with this beast. Okay, with some of my former remote viewing targets that I've done. Some very famous stories. At least one very famous story of I guess a dogman attack. Okay, and I'm not saying one way or another this is a dogman. Okay, we're gonna get to the data in just a minute. But yeah, this was. I mean, it was back in the 1700s, late
Hmm.
1700s. That creature, whatever this creature was, people thought it might be a wolf or something, but it just seemed to be way too big just to be a wolf or a
Hmm.
dog.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think there were over 100 people killed. And I heard you guys talking about maybe it could have been 500 people that were killed by this beast.
It was definitely into triple digits. The most conservative estimates would put it at like 130. Some of the more outlandish estimates put it at closer to like 400 or 500 because it was the
Wow.
1700s. It was the French countryside. It was mostly peasants and farmers. So there were probably a lot of deaths that weren't being reported or just people just going missing and nobody even raising a fuss about them. So
Yeah,
I mean, who knows? But we know it was at least into triple. It was at least 100, which is
at least.
still a
That's a lot.
crazy number. I mean, how many deaths can we attribute to a Bigfoot officially?
Yeah. I
Right?
mean, well, there's all these missing people. You can't really, I
Yeah,
mean, nobody keeps a tally on it,
yeah.
really. I mean, Dogman too, but there's people like Mike from Abnormal Investigations, he's going through all these reports, and a lot of people with even the Dogman project and stuff, they're going through reports and they're seeing all these anomalies in all these unspecified animal attacks and packs of wild dogs attacking people and killing them. And so it's not up to like the government's never going to tell us. They don't even keep a tally on the people that go missing out of the national parks. And my friend Bob Wilson, that's one of my teammates. Hey, Bob, that's Grumpy. Dang. He knows better than anybody how dangerous it is out in these parks and out in the field. That's where we do some of our research out in some of those parks. And unspecified locations, okay, but still, it can be very dangerous, especially knowing, like at the LBL or Uwari or whatever place you're at.
Yeah.
They don't even make you check in sometimes. It's like the park rangers don't even want to know you're there when you go camping. Yeah, which is very suspicious.
I've heard stories about that place.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I would ever go there. LBL. I'm not sure if I would ever go there.
I would love to go there. Fully armed, flanked by the, like special forces armed guards.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go if I had my own tank. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, if you had your tank, I would. Yeah, I would sleep in a tank. I mean, I'd go if I could sleep in my tank. If I had a tank, absolutely.
If I had my own Iron Man armor, oh yeah, I'm
your Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. So so like I said, I didn't really know what in the heck I was, what this thing was, and but I had a feeling it could be like a werewolf or a dogman or something just by the name of it, and so I want to have another teammate in the chat today. I've got Craig Action Jackson in the chat. Hey, Craig. So these are some of my field research friends here and friends and family here. But when I was remote viewing this, Johnny, I absolutely from the jump, let's just say, I was seeing something that looked like. Let's see. Let me pull out my data. And everybody wants to see my data. Y'all go to my Patreon. There was some sort of. It was an animal, okay? It was an animal, and it was gigantic, and all I could see were teeth, okay? A lot of teeth. It had an insatiable appetite, and there's something I'm going to say tonight that's embarrassing to talk about on air, because I know my mama watches the show, okay? I was getting some sort of a creature that had an insatiable appetite for blood, flesh, and much like, okay, I'm going to make a comparison right now, okay, which is going to, it could be a little odd, but it was almost the exact same data that I was getting for the Beast of LBL. Okay, the Beast of LBL attacks. I looked into the attack of the family of 4, the mom, dad, and the 2 kids, and the creature. There were 2 creatures actually that attacked them and killed them, and I was getting almost the exact same data for this target that I got for that target.
See, I don't know much about the LBL family murders. I was wondering if you could fill me in on that. I do know that LBL does have a reputation for a lot of activity, but I wasn't aware of any specific instances of people, I guess, famously getting killed by a creature or anything like that.
Yes. Well, there's a story about a family of 4. There was a mom and a dad and 2 kids. They had taken a little vacation. It was like a holiday weekend or something, and they took their some people said they were in like a travel camper, like one that you drive, like an RV, and other people said that there was it was a pull behind camper. Okay, and so apparently there was this family that was completely torn to shreds. Some hikers found their vehicles, and like there was blood everywhere, and everything was torn to shreds. And the cops were called out there. I mean, it was a complete. Let's just say if it happened, it was a total cover-up, okay? But a lot of the locals knew about it. Some of the police officers that worked the case were scarred for life. And, there was just I guess the North American Dogman Project had done a little documentary on it at some point. Because when I was asked to remote view it, and I remote viewed what happened, saw what happened, it was horrific. I didn't really know anything about it, and so the first thing I did was I contacted Jody Cook of the North American Dogman Project, okay, and he sent me that documentary after I had remote viewed it, and I sent him my data so he could see it, and it pretty much lined up, and I didn't know I'd never seen a video of this stuff. I didn't even know there was one. I didn't know if it was real. I just want to know from him if it was real, Okay. Because I had remote viewed it and I was like, I know I'm not crazy. I've remote viewed this. And I saw all this go down.
So you're saying that the creature responsible for the death of that family in the LBL was the same, I guess, species, possibly, of creature that was in Gevaudan?
Well, that's interesting, okay, because what I saw at the LBL looked like a hyena man. Okay, and I drew a sketch of it and everything. It looked kind of almost like a hyena man, and I'll show you what I saw. This is very similar. Let's see if I think I do have a picture today. I have the different types of dogmen, and this is what I saw looked more similar to that Canine Variant 2 than any of the other dogmen.
And when you showed me that picture, I was like, that thing does look like a pretty good dead ringer for the beast, based off of the description. Minus most of the descriptions, they describe, most of the people who witnessed it described it as having a black stripe down its back, down the middle of its back.
Well,
but
that's
based off the descriptions, it sounds like it was like a giant hyena thing.
Yes. Well, that's interesting because I did 2 targets on this thing because I got some very interesting information on the first target. And then I went back in and went deeper into it. The second target I did pick up that it was more, I was thinking it might just be a gigantic hyena. Okay. And that's what I got because here are some pictures of, I ended up today, right before the show, I did some research on hyenas. Okay. Because I do recall looking into hyenas before because there was some sort of attack that I remote viewed for Tex actually, and it was a hunter out of Texas, I think, and it was thought that he had been attacked by a dogman, but when I remote viewed it, I saw that he had been attacked by a big cat, like a cougar or something, or a jaguarundi or something, and his throat was bitten. And they were saying there weren't any tracks or something, but see these things they jump from tree to tree, and so they could attack with no tracks on the ground because they're in the trees. Okay, but I hear so are dogmen too. Dogmen do that. They can get up in the trees and grab you, and I don't know. They eat you. There's a lot of dangers out in those woods. Okay, but yeah, I was picking up that whatever kind of creature I was looking at, and here's the thing: I didn't remote view any attacks. I was remote viewing the creature. Okay. And so, whatever it is, it likes to get what I kept hearing low fruit. Okay. Like the low hanging fruit. It was going after weak prey kind of, low hanging fruit. I started getting really sick when I was remote viewing this one. Does surprise attacks, but I was also picking up on a strange, like black magic aspect to this. It was very supernatural, very, ritualistic, something like ritual. I don't know if I feel like something was being conjured, and I actually wrote down conjured, which throws, knowing what the target is and like knowing what this thing is, it throws a whole other element into the creature.
Can I answer a quick question from someone in the chat? Todd Kmetz, sorry if I'm butchering your name. Why are there no documented animal attacks on local farm animals, only humans? Actually, a lot of the people who were attacked were people who worked like as shepherds and with cattle and livestock. And according to the accounts, because it would attack sometimes groups of people, it's the one common thing that people notice. It seemed to ignore the livestock. It only seemed intent on attacking like kids and women and old people. It's like there were cows there, and they would just walk around the cows. Like it had zero interest in them. So that was another weird thing.
That is really weird because dogmen will actually go after the livestock. They're just there to eat usually.
This thing didn't seem interested in livestock at all.
Yeah. Well, I was not specifically picking up on like a dog man, right? I was picking up on a creature that looked similar like a werewolf, but it looked like a hyena. So werewolf hyena kind of thing is what I was getting. But I was also getting that it was on quadruped, like it was on 4 legs. But I also saw it on 2 legs. Okay, so it lines up with what some of the accounts were as far as it being on 2 legs. Now, hyenas are not known to walk on 2 legs, Donnie.
No.
Yeah. And hyenas are small. They're actually not, they can get big. Like the females, they can get up to like 250 pounds is what I've been told. I mean, but this thing would have been, it was killing these people. I think it was bigger than that.
Yeah, it was described as being the size of like a cow or like a donkey. Way bigger than any wolf had any business being, that's for sure. And wider too, they said. It was like a lot more
Okay.
broad.
Interesting. Well, I'm going to pull up some pictures so we can show the audience tonight kind of what it looked like.
Mhm.
These are some artist drawings of kind of, they sent hunting teams out to go find this thing after, I mean, it had killed, 100 people or so. And the king had decided he was going to send some of his best hunters out to go
Mhm.
track this thing down and kill it. But I mean, it was, I think
That is
eventually
a okay. That
the
is a
people,
statue in honor of
yeah.
the very first one of the very first people who got attacked.
Oh, yeah.
Let me look up her name. I forgot her name. She's like a national. She's like a hero, local hero in that area.
Jean Boulet or
Yeah, Jean
Jean
Boulet.
Boulet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, as the story goes, she was actually no. I think that's another person. No, the first person. Sorry, I got confused. The first person, Jean Boulet. She was the when the thing attacked her, actually the cattle that she was tending, they formed a protective circle around her, so the beast couldn't get to the girl. Like all the cattle in the field, they knew that this thing was after the girl, and they intervened and they formed a circle around her. And the beast tried to get around the cattle to get at the girl, but the all the cattle wouldn't let it, and then it got frustrated and left. And this
Oh,
girl was
wow.
another person who famously got attacked and survived because she happened to be carrying an iron spear, and she managed to pierce it
Oh.
and injure it, and it ran off. She didn't kill it, but she was lauded as a hero.
Oh, wow. So people were fighting back. I mean, they didn't have
Yeah,
much of a choice, and I guess they didn't have a whole lot of guns back then, or they had like old timey
they
pellet or
had
musket
muskets.
guns.
Yeah, like the
Okay.
arc. No, I think the arquebus was out of style like 100 years before that. But they had like muskets. You know those guns, how they were back in the Revolutionary War times. Like they pack a
Oh, yeah.
punch, but they're not very reliable.
And it took forever to load them, from
Yeah,
what I
took
recall. I
forever.
mean, I
And
wasn't there. I
yeah,
don't think I was there.
sometimes they blow up in your face.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gunpowder is never
yeah.
safe, right? Yeah, well, I mean, with these pictures, okay, so if you check out this drawing, look at the because those are body parts on the
Hmm.
ground, and that's a little. I mean, I know it was going after children a lot, but I mean, look at the size difference in the humans and then the beast.
Hmm.
That thing is gigantic, or at least that's how it's drawn. But that doesn't really look too much like a hyena. But I mean, if I were to draw a picture of a hyena, it'd probably look like that because I'm
Yeah,
not an artist. But you think that these are good artists. I mean, that's a pretty good picture.
yeah.
It looks more like a wolf, like some you think about, like with Little Red Riding Hood. I don't know. Those are some of the accounts, though. Artist renditions of some of the people getting pulled apart. So,
Do you
yeah.
have any? Did you pick up on anything like okay? Because I kind of had the feeling that okay, this thing was probably supernatural. I mean, they shot this thing like 10 times and it got up and as if nothing happened.
Yes, it was unstoppable. I did pick
Yeah.
up. Okay, so that's where the supernatural element comes in to this. Okay, because I did pick up on a supernatural element, and it was because it was conjured. There was some kind of voodoo thing going on with it. Okay, I absolutely picked up on. I picked up on African magic. Okay,
Hmm.
African magic. Now, I mean, hyenas are from Africa, right? I mean, that's where
Hmm.
they originate from. So I would think that you know, maybe okay. Well, there's a little background, a little more background on hyenas.
Hmm.
Back when the Roman Empire was taken over, okay, and they were traveling all over the place and taking over lands. The kings were known to have exotic pets, okay, and to have like zoos of these exotic cats and exotic animals from Africa.
Yeah.
Now, not only would they have them as pets, they would have them, or as in their zoos, they would feed people to them. Okay,
Yeah.
as terrible as that sounds, they would feed anyone who broke the law, anybody they didn't like. They'd
Can I
feed them
tell
to the
you?
lions.
Can I tell you a quick story about one of the things
Yes,
they would do? Okay. So
absolutely.
in the Roman arena, the way it worked out was in the morning you had the hunt where it's basically specialized gladiators that would have these matches where they would like kill lions and tigers, right? And
Yes.
then in the afternoon and the evening were the regular gladiator, I guess, leagues where it's gladiator versus gladiator. in the middle of the day, like during lunchtime, they would have they were like these skits or performances, and
Mm-hmm.
basically what they would do is they would have a reenactment of a famous Greek story, right?
Okay.
Like the story of Icarus, the guy with the wings. And
Yes.
then one example, they had a prisoner, they dressed him up like Icarus, they put wings over him, and they like suspended him in the air over a pit of alligators or like crocodiles or whatever. And then the
What?
narrator is telling the story of Icarus, and you know how his wings eventually melt and he falls down. So then they let go, and the guy falls into a pit of crocodiles, and he gets eaten alive, and the whole crowd watches and they laugh. That to them was their comedy.
That's messed up.
That was the comedy for them. And there were so many horrific stories like that, things that they would bring in the animals, these exotic animals, to do for the kinds of shows that they did.
Yeah.
And they were technically comedy shows. People were like laughing at them.
That's called dark comedy right there. That's
Yeah,
like the darkest of the dark, unfortunately.
I guess it's their weird way of slapstick.
I guess
Yeah.
so. I guess so. Gosh, that's horrible, but it's just a part of history, and that's what
Hmm.
happened. And so I think that it's important for us to actually kind of talk about that when we're talking about this subject, because we're trying to figure out, like, well, if there was a hyena, how did it get out there?
Hmm.
Although it was gigantic. Now, yeah. Okay. So Zach in the chat, he said the black magic conjuring aspect makes sense if it only attacks humans. Yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, I didn't pick up on like portals and all that kind of stuff, like it's a time traveling hyena man or anything like that. I didn't get. I mean, my data was weird, but it wasn't that weird. Okay.
When you talk about conjuring, see, I've been playing with a couple different ideas because a lot of people think that the creature itself was conjured. But what if it was like, I don't know, a spiritual entity that inhabited the body of a physical animal, right? Because this is an idea
Yeah.
I've been playing with, is that there was a similar story in Africa where these two lions went on a killing spree back in 1898, killed like 300 people.
Yeah. I
And this
remember that.
place, and this place happened in an area called Savo in Kenya. Now,
Okay.
the thing about Savo, and you should probably do well, I already told you,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
thing about Savo is that it's got a lot of like bad history on the paranormal sense as well, because that was a major throughway for the slave trade. And slaves who would die, they would just leave them on the road.
Oh.
There was a just, and the locals knew that area to be cursed. Uh, Shaman said, stay clear of that place. Like the place was just a bad place. And these two lions that were native to that bad place just so happened to go around killing like 300 people.
Oh my
So what if
gosh.
it was like a spirit of something that inhabited the body of a lion that just caused them to? They were killing people for fun, just like the beast of Gevaudan.
Wow. Well, I was picking up on that's what this beast was doing. It
Yeah.
was okay. So one of the connections that I made in regard to the beast of LBL and what I was reviewing with them and these and I think there was more than one. Okay, so there's more than one of these things. So I saw
Hmm.
somebody in the chat. I pulled that comment up a while ago. There were more than one of these things. It wasn't just one. There
Hmm.
might have been one main one, but there were more than one, and I don't think they ever caught it. Okay, but one of the correlations that I had with the beast of LBL was the bloodlust and it going for the adrenalized blood, if you know what I
Hmm.
mean.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was a big aspect of this actually, and so that would make sense as to why they're playing with these people and they're torturing them kind of, and not completely killing them right away, or
Yeah.
gnawing on them for a little bit. I know that's horrible. I'm sorry, everybody.
I
I'm
mean, they
sorry. I'm sick,
weren't, they didn't do it
but
because they were hungry. They did it because they wanted to, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Well, they were wanting that good stuff up in their
Yeah.
brain or whatever. I don't know. It's terrible. I don't know. It's really sad, but it was. But I got on both the targets I did. It was all about bloodlust. Okay, like blood sport or something.
Hmm.
And yeah, they were just. I got maybe they were bored. I don't know. I mean, they didn't have TV back then. These hyenas didn't have anything else better to do.
But
But
you definitely got the impression of African magic, like voodoo
yes,
involved.
it was specifically in my data.
That
Yes.
would make that would kind of make sense actually. I mean, there were voodoo practitioners, they were colonized by the French.
Uh huh. Oh
Um,
yeah.
they
Okay.
probably had some of them in that area at the time who were brought over from the colonies who were, for whatever reason, um, Yeah, they were colonized by the French. Now, like a lot of these voodoo practicing countries at one point belonged to the French Empire.
Wow.
So,
There's a connection. There's got to be. I mean, that was very prevalent in my data.
hmm.
It was, with the conjuring, the African voodoo. I mean, it was in two different targets. I got similar data for the same thing.
So the LBL, you got the same feeling of African magic
Yeah.
there too?
I can't say African magic. It was just the way the mindset of the
Mm.
beast. Okay, it was in its head. It was going for the blood and kind of scaring the
Yeah,
people before they had killed them. That kind of a thing, and they look very similar. They look very similar,
it was having
actually.
it was having a good time,
It
as
was
they
having
say.
it was terrorizing people.
Yeah,
Craig, thank you for that super chat. You were so sweet.
yeah,
I
that's kind of
appreciate that.
scary.
Yeah, it's very scary. It is. Well, imagine those people though. Like, I mean, it was children and women and elderly and oh, and what I was going to say too is that something I was a little embarrassed to talk about. I was picking up, okay, when I first went into this Target, I was picking up something that was highly, like, had this like sex drive. It had something to do with sex. I was like, what is kind of, is this a cryptid?
Hmm.
Am I looking at a cryptid? It was weird. It was super weird. That's what I was kind of embarrassed to bring up tonight. But
The Gevaudan
there was an
beast?
aspect.
There was
Yes,
a sexual.
yes, yes.
Hmm.
Yes, there was something. There's something to that, and I don't know what that is, but it had it had like it had an appetite for that, I guess. So whatever that means, but it was part of my data, so I thought I'd bring it up. But I know you never know what you're gonna get when you're remote viewing.
Man,
So yeah, but yeah, I did pick up that it was very large. I kept seeing these teeth. All I saw were teeth. Okay, a lot of teeth. I was also picking up on. It was almost like an aspect now, and it was right after I was picking up on the adrenalized blood. I was picking up on magic with a K, like magic, Magic or K,
hmm.
and something to do with like the black magic, and I actually wrote down Moloch and Lucifer. Okay, and I know this is kind of touchy, but some kind of ritualistic aspect. Okay, so I got voodoo and Moloch and things like that. So I know those are two different things, but somehow I was kind of connecting them with whatever was going on with this beast. So,
Hmm.
and maybe it was just because it was going after children, perhaps with the Moloch thing.
Yeah, it would
Could
mostly
be.
target women and children, old people. It did sometimes attack men. Um, but yeah, I'm starting to like the idea of a spirit or entity that was put in an animal's body, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what a lot of locals say about the lions of Savo, that it was like some kind of demonic beings that inhabited the body of a couple of lions. And
That's
if
so
that's the case,
interesting. Wow.
and
Eh,
I know in Korean shamanism they talk about something like similar, where in Korean lore they have dogmen or they have like their version of skinwalkers, but it's in reverse. It's not humans who turn into these half animal hybrids.
oh,
It's the animals
it's
that
opposite,
turn
huh?
into it. Yeah. But they have similar
Interesting.
stories of them hanging around graveyards and stuff like that. But it's just that one detail. It's backwards. But then the idea of it starts off as a regular animal, but then something inhabits it, and then it takes on all these qualities, right? And then
Yeah.
it's just nothing but bad intentions after that.
Wow. Um. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Digger dog. That's interesting. There's something hyena type creature killed up in N.A. Where's that? North America, I guess. I don't know. Early
North
1900s.
America, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And stuffed in the Midwest. If I remember. I remember that story too. And it was almost like it did kind of look like a hyena or something like that. And it was in like a local general store or something, I think. Well, it's interesting you say that because the king had sent hunters out to go kill this beast of Gevaudan,
Hmm.
and they came back with a big wolf, right, Donnie?
Yeah.
And I believe what they did was they brought this wolf in and they had it taxidermed,
Yep.
okay, and but this is not what I remote viewed, okay, this is not
No.
what I saw, and it could not have been that
And
creature.
even witnesses were like, "Yo, that ain't it." Where's the black
They said
stripe?
that ain't it.
Yeah, where that's not. It's not even the right color. It was a freakishly large wolf, though, from what the historical records say. Like it was a
Yeah.
really big wolf, like a wolf that had no business being that big, but it wasn't the beast.
But it wasn't the beast. I
But the
don't
guy who
think
killed
it
that
couldn't have
wolf
been.
got like treated as a hero. But the problem is like the killings just started resuming like a week later, and then that's when people realized, oh, okay.
Well, it probably like pacified or like helped the community for a little while. Like, oh, we can
Yeah.
finally sleep. Our kids are safe. But no,
Nope.
nope,
Nope.
not at all.
It was very
Yeah.
embarrassing for the king too. Like he had to,
I don't
he
think
had
the
to
king.
take that
I
egg
don't
on
think
his
he
face.
cared. He like totally washed his hands of all of it after that wolf came in. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
we got it. No, that was it. Y'all are
And then when
imagining
people came up
things.
to him afterwards and were like, "Oh, the killings have resumed. This beast is back," the king was like, "No, no, it's not. No, it's not. We killed it." Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there were several people that went after this. I mean, even after that, I think that the villagers, the people there, and this is a rural area. So
Mhm.
imagine if they lost 300 people, and this is an area that doesn't have that many people in it. That's a big chunk of their population,
And it's also
I would
people,
assume.
and like you got to consider these communities like everybody knows everybody, right?
Oh, yeah,
So
everybody knows everybody, right?
yeah, so for every person that gets killed, it's like the entire village knows that person's name. So these killings were they knew everyone knew everyone else's business. That's how people in the past were back then.
Yeah. Well, it's the
So
same now. If you live in a small
mm,
town like I do,
yeah.
everybody knows you can't get anything past anybody. Um, yeah. Well, so the villagers took it into their own hands, the
Mhm.
community. They finally, and I think that's probably would have been better if they had done that in the beginning, maybe. I mean, just to go ahead and go after them instead of like relying on your government. To take care of you. It's kind of like that's why it's important. We need to be able to protect ourselves, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
so I think that's what they did, and I'm sure that they probably killed several more wolves, but I don't think they ever got the one.
You know what the sad thing to think about is there were probably a lot of animals that did die, all in the name of killing the beast of Gevaudan that had nothing to do with it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like I remember they would like kill dogs just to load them up. They would poison dogs, right? And once the dogs were dead, they would load their bodies up with even more poison to try to lure the beast to try to eat the dead dog, but it never worked because the beast wasn't interested in eating dogs. So they just wound up
Mm.
killing all these dogs for no reason.
Well, that
It was
happens
kind
even
of sad.
today.
Yeah.
Okay, that happens today, and that's something that Mike over at Abnormal Investigations is looking into pretty often. Are these unspecified animal attacks that we're having in the modern day,
Mm.
and domesticated dogs are getting blamed for a lot of these attacks. A lot of them, there's no way these dogs could have ripped some of these people apart. Maybe they could, I don't know, but it's just odd, and
But the idea of domesticated dogs doing that is kind of scary in a certain way when you think about it. It's
yeah.
like our beloved pets have turned on us. Like I don't know what would be worse, getting killed by a dog man or getting killed by like 50 angry poodles.
Did you just say a dog bear or a dog
Dog
man?
man, yeah.
You said a
Like
dog
getting
bear.
killed by one dog man or like a swarm of like just rabid poodles. I might take the dog man. I don't know.
Rabid poodles? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, little chihuahuas?
Yeah,
They just nip
like a
at you like
hundred
piranhas?
chihuahuas. Yeah, like piranhas.
Death
I
by a
think I might
thousand cuts, right?
I might take the dog man. I'll be honest.
Oh my gosh. I'm glad we can we're putting a light spin on this because it's kind of dark and gross talking about this stuff and but it's good to be able to shed light on these things. And
But it's also important because I feel like, okay, one of the things I noticed ever since I got deep into the paranormal community is like you hear all these stories of eyewitness encounters or people seeing Bigfoot and Dogman. You don't hear too many stories about Bigfoot and Dogman actually taking people out. And people need
that's
to know
right.
that that's a possibility. And I feel like
Hmm.
not enough people consider that possibility. Like I do notice that there are some people with a sense of bravado where there would be like, I'm just going to go up to Bigfoot. I'm just going to go up to it, and I'm going to be
Yeah.
totally safe because I've never heard of a story of Bigfoot ripping anyone in half, but I'm sure there
I
are.
have.
I have.
I 100% have.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Up in Alaska. Um I'm sure it's happened more than we know. I've seen some weird stuff. Actually, as a matter of fact, Bob, who's in the chat, I love you,
Mhm.
Bob. He's shown me some weird, gross pictures of like where bears have pulled people apart and stuff. It is gross. It's actually not as disgusting as you'd think because these people, they were cut in half very cleanly and all their
Hmm.
insides were gone because the bear just ate them right up. Animals do weird things. But I can't imagine what a Bigfoot, Sasquatch, or a Dogman would do to somebody. I mean, I can because I've seen it in remote viewing.
We don't. It's
But
like it's strange though. People don't talk about it. People don't talk about like what is possible. Like how dangerous are these things really? Right?
very dangerous. Very dangerous.
Real dangerous.
That's why
Well,
it's dangerous to go looking for them. If you want to go out, I mean, I'm not a dogman researcher. I never would. I would not put myself in that situation, even though I do inadvertently do being a Bigfoot field researcher. They're going to go hand in hand at some point. There's going to be a dogman lurking in the woods, so we have to be ready for that. But I'm not a dogman researcher. You know, I would avoid that at all costs if I could.
but you said that, or so do you think the thing that so the Beast of Gevaudan and the thing at LBL, that's not Dogman. That's something else.
The Dogman, no, the LBL is Dogman for sure.
Oh.
But I think that they're very similar
Hmm.
beings. Whatever's going on, I think that they're very similar. And okay, the thing is LBL. Okay, I have looked into Dogmen several times,
Hmm.
and in different instances, I've been tasked with remote viewing targets of different Dogman encounters people have had,
Hmm.
and I believe, according to my data, that a lot of these dogmen are lab created. Okay, and I know a lot of people don't agree with that, and that's fine, but that's what my data suggests. A lot of them are created in labs. They are chimeras, okay, and some of them are original. Maybe they've been on this planet all along. I don't know. I think that some of them, according to Jody Cook with the North American Dogman Project, some of them come from different planets. It's okay.
I've heard
So
different theories.
yeah, there's a whole bunch of different theories to all of this, but I
Hmm.
do think just like a lot of our technology, a lot of the things that are ETs, like UFOs, for example, those might have come from another planet, but our government and people in charge and agencies have taken that technology from crashed UFOs and they have their own UFOs now. Why would they not take one of those dogman samples and create dogmen in labs? Why would they not take the giant of Kandahar and get some DNA from that and make replicas, clones? I think that that's kind of what we're looking at right here
Yeah.
today. Maybe not back then, but I don't know. Who's to say the technology wasn't even more advanced back in the day than it is
Okay.
today?
Here's a question actually I kind of wanted to bring up to you, Jessica, and to people in the chat. Because we were talking earlier about the beast, and we mentioned how this thing got shot like 10 times, and the bullets didn't really seem to do anything to it. Um, do you hear many stories of like Bigfoot or Dogman stories of people actually hitting it with a bullet?
Yes. Yeah.
And I've heard a few,
Not
and
a
based off what
bunch.
I've heard, I'm pretty sure they're bulletproof.
They're not.
They're not.
No.
I mean,
They're
the
not
Beast of
bulletproof.
Jeopardy.
I've heard that some of them are. I think that some of them are, but you got to think like back then. I'm not sure if this thing was as big as they say it was. I mean, it'd take a high caliber
Here's
shot
the thing:
to
those
kill it.
muskets back then that they were using in France, they were no joke in terms of like the stopping
Okay.
power and the bullet size. It was basically like, I mean, it was like getting shot with a shotgun slug or like a 50 caliber. I mean, those bullets were
Oh
big,
wow.
and they would punch.
Okay.
I mean, they punch holes like giant holes in people when they get hit by it. And this thing got hit by that kind of bullet like over 10 times. And
Okay.
people
Yeah,
were
that's a
stabbing it
lot.
with spears, and they said they couldn't even penetrate the skin.
Well, maybe that's where the
Um,
voodoo element comes in, like the black magic stuff. I don't
yeah.
know. It could be.
And it kind of reminds me of Skinwalker Ranch. In the original
Mm-hmm.
story, there was that big demon dog looking thing, and the guy who lived there at the time actually took out a 357 Magnum, hit it in the shoulder. It barely even noticed it, and just like casually walked off. And he saw the
Yeah.
piece of the shoulder that fell off, and when he looked at that piece, it looked like he said it just decayed right there on the spot, like really fast.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I'm just like, yo, I think these things might be bulletproof.
Yeah, I think maybe some of them are. I mean, I've heard that before too, but I've
Yeah.
also heard stories of critter control, say people that are, contracted to go and kill them or take care of them, or,
Yeah.
perhaps they've got dogmen trained to go take out other dogmen. I don't know.
Or maybe there's like a secret, or maybe, like silver bullets. It's not like the power of the bullet that's important, but it's like what the material is, right?
Yeah.
Maybe whatever team that's sent in to kill these things, they have the right type of bullet that it would actually work. Whereas if you get like a regular bullet, it wouldn't work, right? Like I always heard iron. They seem to fear iron for some reason,
Oh yeah.
and they seem
Yeah.
to fear silver. Like certain materials seem to be their kryptonite.
Because it's purifying, that silver is,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. Uh, Very interesting that you bring that up, because if they have been studying dogmen, and if there are, these dogmen out, and this is modern day, not back in
Hmm.
the 1700s, but if they've been studying them, that they have to know what kills them.
Yeah.
Obviously, somebody does. Much like we were talking about, I did the UFO report on Spaced Out Radio with Tim Seymour the other night, and we were talking about the UFO. Tucker Carlson came out and was talking about how special forces soldiers were going towards these air like spacecraft, and they would get migraine headaches and they were getting brain injuries.
Hmm.
Well, I was told that our government has created a helmet, okay, for those soldiers and whoever's going close
It
to
would
these
make sense.
spaceships. They've had to come up with something so they can get near it, and when they're doing crash retrievals and all that kind of stuff. So they're finding solutions to this stuff.
What it,
Okay.
I think it would be so hilarious if it turns out that the thing that would protect them from those brain waves would be an actual tinfoil hat. And then you see these
Right.
soldiers lined up, and then the general walks
Was
up
it
to them.
made
He's
out of
like,
aluminum foil or
"Soldiers, you're
tinfoil?
gonna go up to this alien craft, and this is the only protection." And he hands out tinfoil hats. The whole soldiers like, "What?" And he's like,
Man, we were
"We're
right all along,
yeah,
right?
you're
Oh my
right the
gosh.
whole time."
The whole time. Oh,
Yeah.
that would make sense. There's Paul. Paul's in the chat. Paul, thank you. He's the one who suggested this target yesterday. So thank you, Paul. He's here. He says there actually were hyenas in African folklore. So yeah, there's some kind of connection there for sure. For
I've
sure.
always heard rumors. I don't know if you've heard these same rumors, Jessica. So, I mean, but I've always heard rumors that like creatures like Bigfoot and Dogman, the thing that they really fear is fire.
Yeah,
Have you
they
heard that
say,
before?
well, yes, absolutely. And I've had firsthand accounts, and I always like having a fire going at base camp when
Yeah.
we're out there in the field, and it does die down eventually, and it goes out. Hopefully, I'm asleep by then. I always
I
hope I'm
wonder if
asleep.
it's like fire is like their kryptonite.
It could be. I mean, I've heard that from a lot of different people.
I've heard that a
As
few
long as
times.
as
Yeah.
long as they keep the fire going, they're safe.
Yeah.
So hope it doesn't rain and all that kind of stuff, because you're in trouble. But yeah, I've definitely heard that. So yeah, okay. So Aldo says years back, the remains of the beast of Gevaudan were rediscovered, and they found out it was actually a hyena. I'm late for the show. I
Yeah,
apologize.
I'm not so
Yes, don't
sure about
apologize. It's
that.
okay. It was a hyena type
I've
animal.
heard of it, but then I've heard the account of the way they actually killed it, and according to the story, and now I admit the
Yeah.
story is a little bit kind of murky, but when it was killed, apparently it decayed real fast, like faster than a normal animal should have. So then,
Really?
because they try to take the actual beast to the king, and it basically decayed into mush on the way. And so, according to the story, the guy who apparently killed it said that he had to bury it, which kind
Okay.
of,
Oh,
but
well, he could have been making that up. We don't know, but
he could have been
that's
making that up though.
interesting. Well, it's interesting. Oh, and that's fun. Okay, Digger Dog says, and reportedly it sometimes laughed before it attacked. Now, that kind of gives it almost a human quality about it.
Yeah.
And when I was watching the show with you guys today, you talked last night about how it had hands or something. What were you said something about it holding down its victims?
The most famous attack that occurred, it attacked a group of kids that were working the fields. I mean, I knew their names, but their names are so French, and really
It's
long
so
French names are
French.
hard to
It's all
remember.
français,
Yeah.
right?
But it was one 12-year-old boy. It was like a 9 and 10-year-old girl, and it was like these two like small 7, 8-year-old kids. And the beast attacked them while they were tending the cattle because, of course, labor laws back then. So, the funny thing is, so what happened? What the kids did is they all were already armed because stories were already going around. Everyone was already new to be armed, so they all carried spears. Basically, everyone was carrying spears at this point, right? It's just what you left the house with.
Yeah.
And these kids all had their own spears, homemade spears, and they were all like lined up. The bigger boy was in the front. The two girls were behind him in the second row, and the little boys were like in the back. And the interesting thing about this was that when the beast was circling the kids and trying to get them, it was specifically targeting the youngest kids,
The
right?
low
Which
hanging
wouldn't make
fruit.
sense because if it was just out to kill kids, it would just go after whoever was the closest, right? But it specifically chose the youngest kid, and it was like trying to get at them, but the other four kids were like trying to block it.
Oh wow. Okay,
So
that might line up with the adrenalized blood thing when it comes down to what we won't get into details because I don't want my
mhm.
channel shut down, but you know what I'm talking about. And with
Yeah.
the children and Moloch, okay, that was in my data, all that kind of stuff. Maybe there's
So
something to that.
it bites the cheek. It manages to bite the cheek off the youngest kid, and then it tries to bite the other younger kid in the neck. And then when it bites him in the neck, the kid survives, but now it tries to run off with him. And the thing is, it gets caught in a bog. So the other kids they chase after it with their spears, and it's in the bog, but it's actually holding the kid down with one of its paws. It's like holding it down. And
Okay.
an animal shouldn't be able to do like a wolf or a hyena.
Yeah.
They got regular paws. They don't have digits. They can't like grasp things, right? But according to this kid, this thing was actually like grasping onto it, onto the
Okay.
kid at least.
I don't remember if I put this up yet. Strangeland said that there's a picture of a guy with looked like a hyena. He was holding it up. He noticed it had hoof type feet, like more hoof type. So I don't know. I mean, I think it was more like I think I actually drew a picture of a print actually on
Hmm.
my data. So and it looked more like kind of cattish a little bit. So I don't know. We'll have to look into the
There were some
footprints, the
accounts that
tracks.
said that the beast looked more cat-like than wolf-like. But yeah,
Look like a big cat. See,
yeah.
hyenas are not dogs like you'd think a hyena is a dog.
No,
It's actually more like a cat or what did you say, a ferret or something?
no, they're closer to the weasel.
The weasel.
Yeah,
That's
they're
right.
more related, closely related to weasels than dogs.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, the picture that I showed, that was probably the picture of the art from back then. Yes,
Yeah.
Crystal. Yeah, it was. Those are some old pictures. So, yeah. Yeah, okay. And so I actually have some information about hyenas too. I figured we could
Hmm.
talk about that for just a second because I think it's something else that is interesting because people were getting attacked by their throats.
Hmm.
Their throats were getting ripped out. And I know we mentioned that earlier but when the show first started, especially with the hunter out of Texas whose throat was ripped out. Hyenas are scavengers, and they are more similar to cats than they are dogs.
Hmm.
If you ever encounter a hyena, they say, listen, I looked it up. What do you do if you get, confronted by a hyena? Basically, you're screwed, Donnie. Basically, you're screwed. There's like nothing you can do except like just try to get away from it. You can fight it, but they run like 37 to 40 miles an hour. Humans ain't running that fast,
Yeah.
probably. And if they bite you, it pretty much poisons your blood automatically, and so
Hmm.
you won't live. And they say that's because there's rotting flesh in their mouth, on their teeth.
Yeah. Let's just say hyenas
Yeah.
don't practice the best hygiene.
No, they
Yeah.
probably don't have very good breath. Right. But they say just you're pretty much screwed if you get confronted by one, and you probably won't survive.
Hmm.
They have the strongest jaws of any animal on Earth.
Hmm.
They charge you with their head down, and they'll break your ribs when they hit you.
Yeah.
So they pretty much what do you call it? Incapacitate you before
Hmm.
they attack you.
Yeah.
They hunt in groups like cats, and if food is scarce, they will go after humans and eat humans. So, yeah.
And a little, well, I was going to
Some
go
more
into
cats.
their mating habits, but I'm like, nah, it's not that.
Well,
It's
that
not
was in
that.
my data. That the
Yeah.
sexual nature of these
Yeah.
things. You can talk about it. It's okay.
Well, and they are pretty interesting in that the females actually mount the males.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rather than the other way around.
Oh my gosh, we're getting a
Oh, and also
full
their
info dump.
societies, the way they're structured, they're matriarchal.
Okay. Oh,
You know how
cool. Okay.
lions are patriarchal, right? They got one
Yes.
dominant male and they control the women. Yeah, hyenas are matriarchal. The women are the dominant ones. The females are bigger and they mount the males. So
Okay, I did not know that. That's interesting. Okay, well then that means, okay, it doesn't mean, but it could say that like perhaps the one that was going after the people and the children was a female. First of all, because females
Maybe,
are bigger than the
maybe.
males, and I was picking up this like sexual appetite, whatever this beast was, and not like I was feeling it. I just knew it. Okay, so it's just weird. This is weird. But it was there was something about it. There was some kind of sexual nature to this thing, and
Hmm.
so if they're the dominant ones, then perhaps it was a female the whole time that was going around killing everybody. I don't know. I just think that if it was that big and if it was a hyena, yeah,
Maybe it was a female Dogman. Maybe what the Beast has ever done in the
yeah,
LBL, that's the female, and the regular Dogman that people talk about, that's the male.
yeah. It
That could
could
make
be. I don't know. I do think that I think that could be absolutely. What I was looking at when I was remote viewing, it did look like a hyena, but it was bigger than a hyena, and it had different abilities than a regular hyena. So,
mm,
can I say I did not specifically say like, it wasn't like Dogman. I did pick up on like a werewolf. I did pick up on werewolf. But it doesn't look like your typical werewolf. But then again, oh by the way, Bob Grumpy. He's the one that showed me the pictures of the bears that killed people, or the people that were killed by bears, actually.
yeah.
And he knows more than anybody about the habits of big animals and big game. But yeah, there's what I was looking at. I'm going to show a picture of the Dogman one more time, and if I can find it, here we go. So these are the Dogmen. What I was seeing, I think that at the LBL especially, there are different types of Dogmen. Okay, I don't
Hmm.
think that there's just that one kind. I think there's several different types, because if you look at people's like the artist drawings, like Barton Nunnally made a drawing of what the alleged eyewitness said that beast looked like. Now, from there, and people have different accounts. There's a lot of people that have seen him, including Barton and Martin Groves and all those fellas. They've seen dogmen out there before. Everybody's got kind of a different a different description of them, and I think it's because there's so many different types.
Hmm.
Just in that one area, and so what I would, I was picking up on like werewolf, and when people think of werewolves, they're thinking of like Canine Variant 3 down there,
Yeah,
or Canine Variant 1. They don't really look like monkeys, they are primates. They look more like dogs,
yeah.
but with that shorter snout, like with the Canine Variant 2, that's more like what I was looking at. Now, the colors that I picked up on this thing, I was picking up, let me see my data. I remember it being like a dark gray. Okay, a gray brown. It was gray brown is what I wrote
Mm.
down. Grayish brown. So I don't know what color the people claimed that it was back in the 1700s. I didn't pick up on a color or anything, but my data said gray brown.
The most common one I heard was like a dark brownish red.
Okay,
Um,
cool,
and the other
interesting.
common thing was it was an unusually long tail with a tuft at the end, kind of like a lion. I don't know if you
Oh
saw
yeah.
that.
Oh, it did, and that's
Yeah.
how dogmen are described as well, as having like a lion's mane.
Hmm.
Okay, having like a big mane on the back of their neck. Thank you, BMR. That is so sweet. His special JJ account.
Yeah, when people talk about the
Love you,
black
dude.
stripe, I'm wondering if that was actual a black stripe or if that was like a black like mane kind of thing going down its back, you know?
Okay, well here, well, there's different types of
Yeah.
hyenas. Okay, and so we have the first one here. Oh, oops, sorry. They have the striped hyena. Okay, and it's got stripes on it, so it
Hmm.
could be something similar to that. Of course, we've got the spotted hyena. I think it's called spotted, and it's like an air wolf or something like that. I forgot what it's called. Here, actually, I've got this one. Oh, the aardwolf, and yeah, and the brown hyena. So
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. I've heard of dogmen. I don't know about the stripe part, but the mane, absolutely. I hear about that quite often. Actually, my friend Jeff Townsend, who just got out of the hospital a couple weeks ago, I hope you're healing up, Jeff. Has told me about his encounter with dogman. He may be in the chat actually right now. So
Hmm.
he told me when he saw one, it had a huge mane, almost like a lion, kind of like on its back. I think he said it looked like a bear. It looked kind of
Hmm.
like a bear. Yeah, with a big like a tuft or whatever. I think it's called a tuft. I don't know. But yeah, terrifying nonetheless. It's always terrifying hearing these stories. But I would have to say that I do think that yeah, there could be a were hyena. It could be a were hyena, a hyena wolf. Okay, I don't know, a hyena dogman wolf kind of thing. And who's to say that there's not hybrids too of all the stuff that we've got all these cryptids that nobody's ever heard of or ever seen. It could be something completely different that that's never been classified.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's how it goes.
I want to ask you a question that I actually asked Rob and Jason last night, because one of the reasons why this story, the story of the beast, was, I guess, so impactful for me, was that it was like the first time really in history that an entire country's population accepted that a cryptid was real, right?
Yeah.
And you and I both know people who are Bigfoot researchers who say that they want to spread knowledge of Bigfoot. They want everyone to know that Bigfoot is real, right? Everyone. So I'm thinking, what if everyone in America one day suddenly realized Bigfoot was real? What would that even look like? And is that something you would even want?
Yeah. Well, here's something that's very interesting. All of the national parks that I've been to lately, state parks, national parks, guess what they're doing? They are advertising with Bigfoot now. I mean, Cheaha State Park out in Alabama, I went there not too long ago. Their entire park is all about Bigfoot now. You go in their little shop to get your passes to go hiking and in the park. It's Bigfoot from wall to wall, like merch. And so you go up to the top of the mountain, there's a gigantic statue of a Bigfoot. I mean, not everybody's in the know. Not everybody even will ever believe in Bigfoot, I don't think. I don't know, but I mean, you see what's going on now with the UFO disclosure and, the U.S. allegedly shooting down UFOs and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's disclosure. I mean, people are going to know. I mean, not everybody, even if they tell everybody these are real, a lot of people still won't believe it.
I do think more and more people are starting to believe in cryptids. I think we've all noticed that, right? Like from maybe like the late 90s or early 2000s to today, I think there are a lot more people who are open to the idea of Bigfoot. It is definitely talked about more. But I was talking along the lines like if the president went on TV tomorrow, or if it came on like CNN or Fox News and they just announced to everybody, ladies and gentlemen, Bigfoot and Dogman are real and they've killed this many people, I think everyone would freak out.
Yes.
People would freak
I think
out.
people would freak out. I mean, people freak out over everything, right? Am I right
Could you
or am I
imagine what that
right?
would look like? Like, remember back in 2020 when people were flipping out and everyone was buying up all this toilet paper?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Could
I
you
do remember
imagine
that.
if people figured out Bigfoot and Dogman were real? The kind of pandemonium? You would
Well, I
see like
bet
no toilet paper. All the toilet paper
no
gone.
toilet paper.
No more toilet paper for you.
I think a lot of people would learn how to shoot guns at that point and go buy
All
firearms.
all the gun stores would be like sold out of of
Yes.
all their merchandise and inventory. All the bullets would be all bought up.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty terrifying for me, and I'm inoculated to all the high strangeness out there for the most part. And but I also, I mean, I protect myself, and I do know what's out there, and so when people wonder why I do carry, if you know
Yeah.
what I mean, I know what's out there. Okay, like I know what can
Yep.
kill me and my family. And it's okay if people want to keep living in their realities of their bubbles of these things not being real, but like there's cryptids going into inner cities now and in the big cities. I mean, dogman sightings and stuff in towns and Bigfoots and it's creeping in to towns and people
Yeah.
are waking up to it a little more now. They're a little more aware
More
of it.
people are definitely opening up to it, but also more and more people are kind of flipping out over it too. They're kind of losing their, I don't know. I've seen that as well, where people who are already kind of on the edge, they find out something like crazy and freaky about Bigfoot or Dogman, and it takes them even further over the edge.
Yeah.
So
Hey, well, I mean, we've all been taken down rabbit holes. I mean,
yeah.
whether we wanted to or not, over the past 3 years now, it's like it's an unintentional rabbit hole that we've all jumped into
Yeah.
together. Some of us holding hands and head first, others are
I
going
feel
kicking
like
and
I
screaming.
accidentally like wasn't paying attention and tripped into this rabbit hole sometimes.
Right.
You know?
I went willingly. I dove in head first. So, yeah, especially looking into stuff like this with these werewolves and dogmen and yeah, it's good that we're making people aware of these things and I'm not saying, this is for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not saying my everything is 100% correct here, but I stand behind my data 100% on all of these targets and I did see something that was definitely like a hyena type looking gigantic creature. I called it a werewolf, but it looked kind of like a hyena, okay,
Hmm.
that was out there. And there was some kind of African voodoo or black magic involved. And I was picking up on things like Moloch. And I think that could have just been a connection to I don't want to say going after children, but perhaps it was,
I would say so. Like it clearly was not natural in its intentions, right?
right. I mean, it was natural to it, I guess, but not
Yeah.
to us
I mean, that's
humans.
not how a normal animal, even a predator, would behave.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, well it was definitely a stalker. It was
Hmm.
definitely stalking out these people and it was going for much like the LBL, the dogmen at the LBL that I've looked into. It was going for that blood, for that special blood
Yeah.
when people get really scared. Oh yeah. So and it had plenty of it if it killed up to like 300 or more people. So
They said they were finding a body, like one body a week, for like 3 years.
yeah. Yeah, oh, that's crazy. That's a lot. And okay, so Zach has a good point. If they found out Bigfoot was real, some outfit would try to go out there and put one on a chain. They would probably start putting them in zoos and stuff. I mean, so yeah, it's best that they don't tell us they're real. If it's
Or,
if that's the case.
or here's another possibility. They might lionize it. They might get it and make it a celebrity and have it do like talk show appearances
That
and
would be
show
kind
up
of
on the
cool.
Super Bowl halftime and go out and wave in front of the crowd and do special
Go to
appearances,
parades, be
make
like
it wear
the master of
clothes.
ceremonies.
Next thing you know, it's dating a Kardashian.
Oh no, not that family.
It's invited to all the
No.
parties.
No, that's a curse. No. We'll get their
And
heart
I'm like, oh,
broken.
come on, Bigfoot. Really? A Kardashian?
Oh my
Come
gosh.
on. At least date Taylor Swift.
I
Come
am
on,
really
Bigfoot.
glad that we can put a funny spin on this because this is messed up. This stuff is
Messed
so
up.
messed up. It is so messed up. But yeah, I mean, it's a legitimate question. Like, what would the world do? How would the world react if we did have full disclosure on? I mean, I think Bigfoot the world could handle. I
Hmm.
don't think Dogman would be
I
so
mean,
easy.
that's why the Beast of Gevaudan. That's exactly what happened in France at the time. That's exactly what happened. The king admitted it to the people, right? A
Wow. Yeah.
hundred percent of the people believed in this. There was no one guy that was like, no, it's not. Everyone believed it was real. Everyone.
Yes. Oh, thank you,
And
Beehive.
people kind of flipped out
1959.
because 20 years later, guess what happened? Those kids grew up and then bam, French Revolution.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Oh wow. So France was like in turmoil back then, right?
yeah,
So there was just
yeah.
a whole lot going on. Oh my
So
gosh.
one of
So that
Jason's
didn't help.
thoughts was like, what if the beast showing up at that time, it was kind of meant to add fuel to that fire, you know? And I'm like, I could see that. And I'm not saying the beast of Gévaudan caused the French Revolution, but it definitely added fuel to that fire.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody's like minds have changed, like the way they think probably. I mean, it had been
It's the first time in
pretty
history you see
rough.
atheists.
They lost faith. Oh
Yeah,
my
they lost
gosh.
faith because the church couldn't do anything to defend them. And people were packing in those Catholic churches, praying, asking their clergy, hey, do something.
Ooh, okay. So I just got goosebumps on the back of my head.
Yeah,
And because this resonates, because think about what's going on in our world today. Okay. Think about what's
exactly.
going on in our world. Think about the alien invasion and the UFOs and things like that. I mean, it's almost the opposite. Like, I'm not saying that was sent to them to like bring their spirits down. Maybe it was just something that was unintentional and it did. That's just how human nature is.
Hmm.
Maybe there's a lot of forces working against us right now. It's humanity. Okay. Maybe this is all being done to us so that we lose our faith,
I
lose
think it
our
was
faith.
I think it was a Tinder match. It was like someone lit the match, and I think the piece of Gevaudan might have been one of those matches that they lit. You know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It could have been. Oh my gosh. Okay, so wait,
And
so so what you're saying is that it could have been unleashed onto the community.
yeah,
Well, that would make sense if it had some sort of like, I want to say like, I want to say voodoo and black magic and all that kind of stuff. Like it was sent in to seek and destroy.
yeah.
Wow. Oh my
Like the
God. By the
timing of it
enemy?
is
Oh
very
my gosh.
interesting. Like they just lost the biggest war in their history, the Seven Years' War, where France became, you know, before the Seven Years' War, France was ruling half the world. After the Seven Years' War, they were just a country because they lost a lot of their territory, all of their colonies. It was a big blow. People were,
Oh my gosh.
you know, national pride,
Yeah.
right? Their pride was hurt. They lost half their economy. A bunch of their boys didn't come back home from the war.
Oh
And at the end of the day,
wow.
they were embarrassed.
What a
Um,
connection.
they were still living in feudalism. And then right after this huge embarrassment, this huge loss, the beast happens. And then all
Yeah.
those, and it's attacking all the kids, right? And then
Yeah.
20 years later, those kids wake up. They grow up. I mean, French Revolution happens.
Wow. Oh my gosh, what a connection. It makes it make sense
Yeah. The
as
timing
to
is
what that could have
interesting.
been. I mean, this never happened again after this, right? It was like a 3 year
3 years and
span
then gone.
and then it's just gone. It never
Gone.
happened again. Or at least nothing was ever reported anywhere that we know of.
That we know of.
Yeah. That we know
I've heard
of. I
some
don't know.
rumblings that it still might be around, but I mean, it's hard to
Wow.
verify any of that.
Yeah. Well, now we have all this stuff happening in the United States. We
Hmm.
have Dogman attacks allegedly and things like that. And
Yeah. If you look at some of the stuff that happened in the French Revolution, it's kind of scary to think that that could happen to a place like here.
yeah, yeah, well, we are under attack 100%. Okay. And we are absolutely, oh, we got William in the chat. Suck
Hello.
it up, Buttercup. I'm way behind on the chat. So I'm sorry. This is probably from what, about 5, 7 minutes ago. Hey, William, thank you for being here. But yeah. Wow, there's a lot of evil in this world, Donnie. A lot of evil people that would do really bad stuff. We don't want to think that that would be on our front doorstep, you know.
Hmm.
And the people who actually fought back against this wolf creature or whatever it was,
Hmm.
the beast, they were martyred, right? Like martyred, like they were like, well, that one woman has a statue of her,
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
but they were really, I think the king, like those little boys that fought back with their spears. From what I remember reading, is that the king was so proud of them, like
Oh
he
yeah.
actually brought them under his wing and gave them an education.
Yeah. Actually, what happened was, so when the beast dragged off one of the little kids to the bog, the other four kids they were so scared. And but the oldest boy was like, "Damn it, I'm going after this kid. If it's the last, I'm going to rescue that kid. If it's the last thing I do, I don't care if I die." And he ran after it. And then the other four kids kind of looked at each other and they ran with him. And then and the beast was caught in the bog. And they just all started stabbing and stabbing and stabbing until it finally let the kid go and it just ran off.
Oh my
And that
gosh.
oldest kid, the one who charged in, the king was so impressed with his deed that he actually paid for his education, wound up going to a good university, actually became real successful and lived like a very happy long life as a hero and as a well-educated man. So it does have a happy
Well,
ending
I guess
in that
something good
regard.
came out of that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, well, I don't know. This has been a really interesting topic, Donnie, and
This is a fun
I'm
one.
excited that you came on with me tonight to
Yeah,
talk
I'm very
about it.
happy that you invited me on. I was
Thank
very
you.
surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I think we pretty much covered most of my data here, and
Hmm.
you know, in a nutshell, it could have very well been some sort of like a dogman type creature, but I did pick up I was definitely picking up like a werewolf hyena type.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah, I don't
they
think
had
it
them
was
back
natural at
then.
all. That's my opinion. That thing
It was
wasn't
not a
natural.
regular wolf, that's for sure.
That wasn't no natural animal.
Yeah. No, you're right. There's so much more around us. That's right, Strangeland. Yeah. So, as far as those poor people back then, though, your historical slant on it, which is makes it make sense. Okay, that angle that you take with really bringing the it's like bringing the vibration down. Like let's just get them where it hurts while they're
Yeah.
down. And
Yeah.
and atheism came into play after that. I mean, wow,
Hmm.
that makes me sad actually.
Yeah, the British media was actually mocking the French the whole time when this was going on. They're like, haha, look at that
Really?
stupid king. He can't even protect his own women and children from one animal. They were like making fun of him in their like news in their papers.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Beehive. I wonder if that's Jeff. I have a feeling that's my friend Jeff right there. I don't know. A
hello.
lot of people will give up their rights to feel safe. That's right. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to give up my. I would not give up my spear to feel safe. Okay, if I was one
Mm.
of those. You always have to have a weapon on you, right?
Yeah.
You always got to have a weapon.
Well, you could always learn
Hey,
martial arts.
Robbie. Right. I know somebody that always carries a weapon. My friend Robbie. He's an officer, police officer. So what's up? Yes. I really value feeling safe, and I know I go out there and do some weird stuff out in the
Hmm.
woods, chasing Bigfoots and stuff. But I feel safe, and especially because I got people like Craig Jackson and Bob
Yeah.
Wilson that are in the chat today that are out there with me. And yeah, and you guys can everybody go meet them. I don't know. I don't know if Craig's coming, but I think Bob's coming up to the Georgia Bigfoot Conference next Saturday, April the 1st. Y'all come see us. Bob was actually on that show. It was called Killing Bigfoot. They changed the name to Bigfoot is Real or something like that. So,
Mm.
yeah, and he was with the North American Dogman Project for a long time as well, for quite some time. And I'm a member of his North Georgia Cryptid Researchers organization. So, yeah. So yeah, man, we have a great chat tonight. I am
Yeah, this
so
chat's been
thrilled. We've had
lively.
so many great people in here tonight, and thank you, Area 51. You are the one and only. I appreciate you.
Oh, I get
And
it. Area
the
51.
one, yes, he has the best name ever. But yeah, well, Donnie, where can people find you? I know you're on Jason's show, and
Yep, I'm on Jason's
you,
show. You can find
okay,
me on Texas Front Porch or Bigfoot Michigan Rob every Wednesday on that
okay.
channel. I do a show with my buddy Jason McLean and Bigfoot Michigan Rob, and sometimes Randy, and
Sometimes
hopefully more often
Randy,
you.
Randy with his tinfoil hat.
Yeah, I love Randy.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
love
yeah,
Randy.
it's Jason McLean questions everything every Wednesday at 9 Eastern time, and yeah, it's a fun time. Everyone, come
Yeah.
check it out.
It's a great show, man. You guys have a lot of fun over there. I enjoy watching and being a part of it occasionally. It's a lot of fun. So y'all go subscribe over there. Donnie, you probably got some you're probably gonna you got some other things in the works in the future. I hope to see more of you.
Yeah,
Okay.
we got some things in the
Yeah.
works. Yeah,
Okay. Well, good.
yeah, we
You
got
don't have
some
to give
things
out all the
brewing. We got some
info.
things cooking in the oven, folks, guys. It's
Okay.
happening.
Well, whatever you do is going to be very successful. So, and you're a lot of fun, and I love how you put a light spin on things, just like I like to do. And when we're talking about
Yeah,
this blood and gore, if we're
yeah,
not
people
laughing, we're
got
crying,
you gotta
right?
sometimes crack a few jokes, people. Don't be so serious all the
Don't
time. We
exactly.
talk about monsters all day, okay? Let's
I
crack a
know.
few jokes.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. And my audience understands that. We're all out here. We're just having a good time. Okay. So Donnie, thank you so much for being here.
thank
I hope that you
you.
will come back and hang out with me
Oh,
again
yep,
soon.
I would love to. Anytime,
Okay,
anytime.
awesome. All right, well, you tell those guys over at Texas Front Porch I said hey. Thank you to Bigfoot Michigan Rob and to everybody that gave super chats and super stickers tonight. And you guys are very much appreciated. And I hope you guys will join me this Saturday night. Actually, I'm going to be on Spaced Out Radio. I have Cryptid Warfare coming on. I have Drewski and Zook from
Ooh,
Cryptid Warfare. If you guys will go follow them on all the social media sites, they've got a great podcast, amazing podcast. And then I've got Darkwoods coming on Sunday night.
ooh, I
We're gonna
like that guy. That guy's
Darkwoods is
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yes, we're gonna
he's a
talk
friend.
about
He's a friend of mine. I really like him, so treat him well, folks.
yes. He's gonna be with me on Spaced Out Radio Sunday at 10 p.m. Eastern,
Awesome,
and
nice.
I remote viewed his property, and I had no idea
Well, I'm
whose property
definitely
I was
seeing
looking at.
Sunday at 10.
Sunday at
Oh, you
10.
will
Yes.
definitely see me in the chat.
Yes.
I'll
I
definitely be
actually
there.
I stumbled across that. I was listening to Paranormal Roundtable last week, and
Hmm.
he was talking to Josh, and he was like, you know, uh, Jessica Jones, she saw a Dogman portal on my property, and I was like, what? Did he just say my name? So I was like, you better come on my show. So
Yeah,
we're
Dark Woods
gonna
is a
talk
great
about
guy.
that.
He's a good
Yes,
dude. I really like him.
absolutely. It's gonna be a really good time. It's gonna be a good time. All right. Well, if I can find my buttons here. Okay. Everybody have a wonderful night. Have a great evening, and I will see you back on Saturday. Donnie, thanks again. We'll see you
Bye.
soon.